Another example before we, hop over into some, some ratchet dumb shit a little bit before I get out of here. But this story really highlights that for me. Neighbors, a viral TikTok exposing an Oregon high school for protecting alleged child abusers has led to the arrest of two St. Helen staff members. Eric Stearns, a 46-year-old choir teacher, and Mark Collins, a recently retired teacher, have been arrested after being accused of a nearly 10-year sex crime spree against teen students, according to police. For years, these two have been accused of having inappropriate relationships with students by students and parents, but victims claim the school board never did anything about it. Everything hit the fan when 36-year-old Doug Weaver made a startling TikTok claim the school had been protecting child abusers since he was a student there. Weaver decided to rip off St. Helen police after his rip off. I guess they meant tip off St. Helen police after his video had gained traction, and multiple former and current students contested to his abuse claims in the comments. His tip led to an internal investigation that included people in the TikTok or people in the TikTok or people who had commented under the video, and ultimately led to the sick teacher's arrest. The school board conducted a meeting the next day, and the board was ripped to shreds by students and parents. In the board meeting, the high school staff is accused of ignoring their complaints and brushing years of inappropriate behavior under the rug. A 14-year-old girl even went into detail about how Stern's choir class was her safe space, and during lunch break, he would hug and kiss her on the head. She even detailed how he said he loved her. Her mother reported this to the police, but they refused to act on the allegations, leading to the family hiring an outside attorney to protect their daughter. Multiple students and parents spoke out, expressing their frustration with the school board not protecting their babies. So this is one of the clips.
About the school, what was your reaction to finding out that Eric Stern was an active pedophile with immediate access to minors for 2 months? You need to take 2 actions.
Do y'all see who's sitting on this panel? All white people? Okay.
You need to fix your problems here, and then you need to resign.
2 high school teachers from my former high school were arrested today. And this is all public record now, so I can share it all. Eric Stearns is the current choir teacher at St. Helens High School. He was indicted for 7 counts of sexual abuse in the 2nd degree and 1 count of sexual abuse in the 3rd degree. My former history teacher, Kyle BLUESKY, was arrested and convicted of SA. But after that, there was a separate lawsuit for state-created danger.
How do you feel about this?
Okay, I didn't realize he wasn't going to talk again. The arrest have sparked protests in the school, with livid parents and students claiming that administrators knew about the sick allegations for years and did nothing. Let me see if he's going to talk again.
With fear, as I was bullied, harassed, and assaulted by another student for months. The only outlet where I felt like I could breathe was my choir class. As the bullying progressed, my mental health was increasingly getting worse. I found that my safe person at school was Mr. Stearns. Mr. Stearns and I would talk during lunch together quite often, alone in his classroom. As a vulnerable 14-year-old girl, I didn't find that it was weird that he'd hug me, kiss me on the head, and tell me that he loved me. I felt alone in this world, and I needed somebody, didn't I? I didn't question it. In fact, I didn't question it when my own mom brought up her concerns about our closeness. I was vulnerable, and I was naive, and the school district had covered up many previous sexual abuse from former staff members, but this will be the last.
Okay. So, and they go on with that, I'm guessing.
We were told
more of what I read. Okay. So here's the thing about that. Have you guys watched, and let me see if I can pull it up for y'all. 3 Women on Stars. Have y'all watched that? Um, so it's really good. And I just finished the first season of the show. Let me share this tab with y'all so y'all can see. But this is three women, and I'm gonna watch anything DeWanda Wise is in. Because DeWanda Wise is one of the most captivatingly beautiful people I've ever seen in my life. Also, even though Shailene Woodley has extreme, problematic ideals, I believe she's a Trumper. She's still an incredible actress. She's an incredible actress. So I usually will watch something she's in because she gives, she's like Republican Julia Roberts. You know what I'm saying? She's like young Republican Julia Roberts. Okay. So I still like her, I don't have to like her as a person. I don't know you, bitch, but I like her as an actress. Okay. But either way, um, this encompassed four different stories, really, but it's three women being written by the one character. So Gia is writing about Sloan, she's writing about Lena, and she's writing about Maggie. And I actually read this book on Audible. Shout out to Audible. Hit me up, Audible girl. I'm always on there. But I read the book, and the book, of course, is not nearly as good as the show. Sloan, of course, is a white woman whose threesomes are more about, well, really started because her older husband wanted to have the threesomes with other women, and that's how they started. So them flipping it with Sloan, and Sloan being the one that wants to have, these sexual experiences with other men while her husband, played by Blair Underwood, watches. I mean, to the point that he's the person that gives the other guy the condom before he, fucks his wife. Like, the condom thing was such a huge thing on the show. But DeWanda Wise was just captivating to watch. Also, she had an eating disorder. So that was her situation. Lena. Y'all, I identify so much with Lena because Lena has such a longing that I identified with. Lena is, your regular middle class white woman, husband that doesn't want to kiss her, doesn't want to touch her. She's basically being starved of affection. It's probably because on some level her husband is gay and doesn't want to be honest about the fact that he's gay. He'd rather be in a relationship with her and have children with her, but not show her any physical affection. So because she's being starved of it, she goes and starts a relationship with her ex-boyfriend from high school, who was a douchebag, but she didn't realize how much of a douchebag he was because it's romanticized. And I feel like I kind of just went through this same thing with an ex-girlfriend of mine. You don't realize how much of a piece of shit they are until you're older and you have to go through some of those same things you went through when you were younger, and the picture is clear now. So I literally understood exactly where she was coming from. She was assaulted. Lena was raped. She was drugged and raped by some boys that she went to school with. And when she got back to school, they had told everybody that she was just a slut that fucked them all. Her boyfriend then stops talking to her, breaks up with her. She restarts the affair with him as an adult. And, they're having this hot and heavy sexual shit, which she hasn't been getting. He's kissing her, he's fucking her, but he's married. So he treats her like, she's disposable. He fucks her, calls her a kid, and then goes back to his wife and kids. And so there's a fear of abandonment that's happening between the two of them. And she ends up having a conversation with him about the assault because she really blamed herself for it. She was like, it was really my fault. Like, she kept explaining in a way like she didn't want to deal with the fact that she was raped. Like, it wasn't, just some party. No, they planned that. They planned it. They drugged you. They assaulted you. And then they called you a whore at school the next day. And then your boyfriend believed them and broke up with you. Now you get back with him, not realizing how much of an asshole he was. And you have this conversation and he ghosts you. Ghost her after she has that conversation with him. Girl, the worst part for me is when her son, okay, she wants to talk to him so bad. He hasn't texted her back in a long time. So she is at the park with her kid, trying to focus on her kid because her kid is like, you're being a bad mom. Okay. And at first I was mad at the kid for talking to her like that, but I was like, nah, that bitch needed to be checked. She was doing too much. Like, why are you looking at your phone all the time like that? Stop that. Okay. I understand the inclination, but I still feel like there are other things that are more important and you need to focus on those other things. Put the fucking phone down. Okay. So she puts the phone down. She goes and has a good time with her son. She lets her son use the bathroom. She runs back to the car to get the phone. When she comes back, her son has fallen into the fucking shitter in a outhouse, y'all. It's a literal outhouse at the park. And it was a whole, I don't know why she let her child use the bathroom in that bathroom, but you know, okay. Because I wouldn't have let my child use that. I was like, hold it. We're gonna go home and you can use the bathroom at home. The little boy fell into the shitter. She has to go in there and pull him out because apparently this outhouse is deeply in the ground, right? So she pulls her son out of all of this liquid shit. It's all over her. Instead of immediately taking her son somewhere where they can burn those clothes and wash themselves with Dr. Bronner 4 or 5 times, she hops in her fucking car, still covered in shit, and goes to meet with this nigga so she can break up with him. When I tell y'all, I was screaming at the TV, bitch, is your son in the backseat still covered in shit? It was fucking terrible. It was so terrible. Oh my God. And just the fact that she felt like she needed to go and meet with this nigga under those circumstances, like that girl. And he actually said, hey, kid, you smell like shit. Like, girl, it was terrible. Eventually, you know, oh, I'm over him. But it's like, but you're still covered in shit. You could have went cleaned yourself and your son first to prove that you were really over this nigga. Like the fuck? Still not putting herself first. And we get to, let's just talk about Gia real quick. Cause I'm circling back from that last story to Maggie. Okay. Cause that's basically Maggie's story. And the way conservative towns handle shit, bro, it's crazy to me. Caring about family. You don't care about no fucking family. You don't care about them goddamn kids. Because whenever there's a small conservative town, there's a group of people bullying somebody who was just assaulted. Anyway, Gia. I hated Gia's character. Manipulative, a fucking user, but essentially the messiest people usually have the best story to tell. She's basically like white writer Summer Walker. Like y'all, we just have to deal with the fact that there are some women that are just so fucking messy and delusional and reprehensible because she got pregnant, right? You're going around, you know, fucking people with no condom. You get pregnant. The guy loves you, wants to be with you, but you don't want to be with him. You go back to him, find out you may have cancer. So then you leave during, you know, just up and leave. You don't say anything. You ghost him. And then you come back with the baby and then you ghost him again and take the baby when he comes back from work. It was just fucked up to watch her put him through that emotionally when you can just have a conversation, when you can just say, I don't want to be with you anymore, sir. Let's, you know, hook something up so that you can come and get your baby, see your baby when I'm in town. Child, I don't know, you know, but just the way she handled it, because he was a good guy. So the way she handled it, it was just fucked up. But in real life, y'all know how I feel. That's your baby. That's your baby, bitch. You know what I'm saying? We don't ever find out if she actually had cancer or not. But either way, the writer annoyed me. Maggie basically had the same type of relationship with a man called Mr. Knodel. I don't know whether the K was silent or not, but I'm going to call him Mr. Knodel because they called him in the book and in the movie. I mean, in the show. Mr. Knodel is basically the teacher that creates, you know, like you create this inappropriate relationship with a teenager. They literally went to court, y'all. This is a true story. Maggie, you can look it up. Maggie went to court about this shit, just like she did in the show, and they did nothing about it. They kept that man on. He then became somebody that mentored other teachers. And I'm just like, so the pathway of being inappropriate with children will continue. And then the way people responded to her, calling her an ugly slut, calling her a liar, even though there was proof that her and Mr. Knodel were on the phone way too fucking much for a teacher and a student. And he kept saying, oh, I was just being there for her because she was going through things. So I was just trying to be there for her. So you was on the phone with your student, your high school student for 4 fucking hours because she's going through things. And don't get me wrong, I knew a lot of teachers growing up that really tried to be there for us as teenagers and kids going through emotional things. But at some point, you got to get off the phone. And if you don't get off the phone after 1 hour, you trying to fuck. So Mr. Knodel got away with it. The book comes out. The show initially was supposed to be on Showtime, but because of the Maggie and Mr. Kanoodle thing, I guess Showtime was just like, it's gonna cause us too much issue, and so then Stars picks it up, and Stars runs the show, and it's a really good show. I honestly, I think the show is better than the book, but to me, the way everybody was willing to blame, even her brother, her parents, the way they were willing to low key blame her for an inappropriate relationship with an adult during a time when she is a teenager, and teenagers' emotions are always extremely heightened. It's hormonally what they're going through, and they're trying to figure out who they are. And you have someone who is in a authority figure to them. A teacher is technically an authority figure, and this person impresses this relationship on this child. This child grows up with the ramification of what that turns into for them. A lot of the times, more depression, shame, guilt, trying to understand, the dynamics of wanting someone who doesn't want you back. It's an inappropriate relationship, but you still want them. And then outside of that, how other people view it. Then as you get older, realizing you were taken advantage of and being angry about that because you didn't realize how fucked up it was when you were a kid, because you just wanted somebody to care about you. You wanted to feel something good. And a lot of the times what I recall about being a teenager is when people didn't want you to be with somebody, it added some type of dark allure to it. Like if somebody didn't want, like I felt like I was in a lot of like teenagey abusive relationships, toxic relationships, fighting and all of that shit. And when somebody didn't want y'all to be together, it felt like this is how it's supposed to go. Because a lot of us were living in households that were toxic, especially growing up in New Orleans. If your people wasn't fighting physically, they was definitely cussing each other the fuck out. And that's not everybody's existence, but it was mine, and it was a lot of people around me. So I feel like essentially you grow up watching toxic relationships play out, and as long as they look good to everybody else, that's all that matters. So it becomes what you find normalcy and pull towards: a toxic relationship, a push and pull, a person that's mean to you one day, but then all the passion and love in the world for you the next day, little slight comments to make you feel insecure about yourself, but then put you on a pedestal the next day. That push and pull shit, that is taught by parents who are acting it out in front of their kids. And then their kids go and get in relationships just like that. And they don't understand why or what it is that's pulling them towards it, but it low-key feels like normalcy. You don't know that it feels like normalcy because everybody's telling you you shouldn't be in that type of relationship. Worry about yourself. All of the stupid shit they tell you after they've been done, brainwashing you into being into relationships. Like all of our society brainwashes children into, especially girls, into romanticizing every fucking relationship that you're in. Every person that you're with is going to be the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life. That's not our fault. They're imparting that on us through all of the things we watch, through all the things we read, and a lot of the times also through how they want us to live. Like y'all want us to find somebody and live happily ever after, as if that's fucking real. Your parents aren't even having that type of existence, but that's what they're trying to get you to do. You know that it's not really real, but on some level, you just get into the motion of feeling like, oh, whoever I'm going to be with, that's the person. As soon as I'm pulled to this person, and there's a push and a pull, a fight and a fuck, a good, a high, a real high and a low. As soon as I'm in that type of cycle, oh, I want to do this forever. And then you get older. And you realize how fucked up it is. And, hopefully you realize how fucked up it is. I feel like I did. But I feel like a lot of people don't. And a lot of people stay in toxic relationships and view unhealthy relationships as fun, attractive, more romantic. Okay. And then wonder why there's always a feeling of longing. You know what I'm saying? Like just constant feeling of longing. And I feel like this show really did a good job at showcasing that. It really, really did. Maggie, Lena, and Sloan all had some underlying longing, which is something that had been broken or fucked up in their teenage or childhood years. And because nobody cares about mental health for teenagers or, for real, like y'all don't really care. I think they just emotional and they crazy. And so you ignore that a lot of the times teenagers are going through very, very real issues that start in teenage life and gradually proceed into adulthood. Those things don't just fall away from us. We carry them with us as we go older, as we grow older, as we get older. A lot of the things that fucked us up as teenagers and kids, it does not just fall away. You don't just forget about it. It just starts to embed itself in the cracks. And maybe someday you'll have to deal with that. And other times you may not have to deal with it. You can just keep pouring concrete over it. Okay, you can keep pouring concrete over it. But Maggie's story was really upsetting because it showcased how in those small conservative towns, people can get away with shit that's not conservative, like fucking kids. He had a sexual relationship with that girl, ate her out, but then will act like because he didn't penetrate her, it wasn't assault. Having any type of sexual interaction with a teenager when you're an adult, as far as I'm concerned, is assault. But the way you can romanticize something will change the perspective. Just like with people with Bill Cosby. I remember that was the thing. People acting like it wasn't rape because the women weren't being forcibly attacked. As if waking up, finding yourself sore and not remembering how that happened isn't the same fucked up feeling you feel after somebody just runs up on you. Like, bitch, I might have had a better chance when I might have felt better about trying to fight and losing a fight than getting got. You internally might feel better if you remember what happened versus somebody drugging you. Now you can't remember the shit. You know what I mean? Either way, the show is good. So y'all should check it out if y'all want to. But just bring it all together and pay attention to the way we are shown things in television shows and movies and media that might be there to fearmonger and control, which is why it is so important to learn how to think critically about these things and also to pay attention about the things that are actually harmful, ignoring what the kids are going through, ignoring what we're going through, what we really are feeling stressed out about, because teenagers that are depressed and oppressed grow up to be adults that are projecting their oppression and their depression on other fucking people, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, that's all I got.